What's up, guys? Brett Okamoto from ESPN, joined today by PFL President Ray Sefo, who I've been looking forward to talking to about the PFL. I mean, I see Ray on the road, I see him cornering fighters, I see him during fight week, but I've been looking forward to him all year about talking about the PFL's 2021 season. Obviously, it's been a little while, Ray, because everything with COVID, all the circumstances of last year. But if I'm excited about seeing these fights, I'm sure you're very excited to get them going, right? And so. As I understand it, you guys have set the. You get time to get back to work, exactly. Yeah, and as I understand it, you guys have set the featherweight and the lightweight matchups for that April 23rd card. That's the first card back for 2021, which I love, man, because I think that the featherweight and the lightweight divisions. I mean, you guys have had some big signings in each division, but when I look at both of those divisions have back-to-back champions in them, Natan Schulte and Lance Palmer, and you've got some really tough competition coming in to challenge those guys for their third season. So without further ado, let's start at 155. Let's start at lightweight. Why don't you run through the matchups and tell me who's fighting who on April 23rd?
Okay, obviously the big signing with Anthony Pettis, who's going to be our headliner that night, is he's facing up against Collard, and then Natan Schulte, who's our two-time PFL champion. He'd be facing Marcin Held. We have Loic, who's the second runner-up, and he'll be facing Johnny Case. Jochen Ludepak will be facing Olivier Massier. And and that's pretty much the matchups for the 55s.
Okay. I mean, we want to give the two-time champion his due in Schultz, so we'll get to him in a second. But hey, man, Anthony Showtime Pettis signing with PFL, that was a big deal, right? I mean, can you just talk about what it means for you as the president of this company to have a guy like that come in and be part of the roster this season?
Well, that's right. I mean, Anthony, I mean, what can I say that nobody already knows, right? He's a former UFC champion. He's fought the best of the best in the 155 division and worldwide. So him being part of PFL it just elevates the team a little bit more, and all our fighters. And then the guy that he'll be facing on that night will be Collard, and Collard is he's had over 20 MMA fights. He's 5-1 in top ranked boxing. When I told him about his matchup, he was so excited, and I could literally hear him jumping up and down because he was just, the phone kept was going in and out. But he's looking forward to that challenge. That being said, it's not an easy challenge. Anthony Pettis is who he is because he's done some amazing things in the sport already.
Yeah. And when you were looking at this lightweight division and trying to decide which was going to be Anthony's first fight, I mean, Collard to me makes sense because who has had kind of a more interesting combat sports career than this guy? I mean, he's only 27.
Right.
He's been fighting professionally since 2011, and he's boxed exclusively over the last 2 years, and he was actually real good at it. A lot of times these guys go over and switch sports, and they don't find a lot of success. He was having success in Top Rank, beating some of their prospects. So now he comes back into the PFL, the MMA mold. What about that matchup did you like, having Clay Collard fight Showtime?
Well, it's the fact that they're both, they're both stand-up guys. Obviously, it's MMA, and they both know how to go to the ground. In this case, Anthony Pettis, I think, is a little bit on, ahead in terms of the groundwork. But he's been, after talking to him, he's been working with wrestlers and jiu-jitsu and whatnot. So, but the on-the-feet match is going to be an interesting one because Clay is like an energy bunny. He just goes, and goes. And Anthony, on the other hand, he's more of a technician, and he's very good at what he does. So, it's styles make fights.
And then that same night, like I mentioned, you got the two-time champ Schulte fighting Marcin Held, who, anybody who follows this sport knows who Marcin Held is, UFC veteran, former Bellator title challenger. Let me ask you this before we get into Schulte's matchup. Was there any temptation to just go Showtime Pettis versus Schulte right off the bat and just have them fight each other? Because I think those two are going to be kind of the favorites of the season, right? At least going in.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's the kind of like the matchup, the dream matchup to make. But at the same time, it's one of these, they're in a season, and so they got to fight their way up to get to the finals. And I think seeing those two at the finals is going to be a truly amazing match.
Yeah, and Schulte's not going to have an easy path to get back to a third title, that's for sure. I mean, with Pettis that we're just talking about, but also Held. I mean, Marcin Held is, like I mentioned. I mean, he's been around for a long time. His skills are top notch. He's a crafty guy.
Right.
How dangerous of a fight do you think this is for your two-time champ?
Well, it is a dangerous fight because Marcin Held is no stranger to tournaments. One of his he fought in a tournament where he won the tournament and and beat three guys. He fought three guys in that tournament, and so he's no stranger to the season format, if you will. Listen, he's seen footage of Natan, and Natan is very good on his feet, but he's truly amazing in the sense that when we actually had the first season, I thought Natan was going to keep it standing, but he ended up submitting quite a few of his opponents. And so, he's pretty sneaky on the ground as well. That being said, Marcin Held, 99% of his fights has won on the ground. So, he's got to be careful there.
Let me ask you this, and I don't want to get you in trouble, Ray. So this is not your personal opinion. This is just kind of taking the temperature of everything that's going on. As we go into this season, who do you think is the favorite to win the lightweight season? Is it the guy who's won it the last 2 years that you've done it, or is it this new shiny toy coming in, a former UFC champion, and Anthony Pettis? When you talk to the other guys and the teams and the people around, who do you think is the favorite to win this year?
You're putting me on a spot here, Brett.
Yeah, I am. This is not your opinion, though. Not your opinion. Just kind of what you've heard from others.
Well, I think it's kind of 50-50 when you look at what Pettis has done, right? And this is not taking anything away from the other 9 guys or the other 8 guys, because all these guys, when you look at someone like Jotun Lubak, who's fought, strangely enough, he's fought featherweight, lightweight, as well as welterweight, and he's been very successful in all those different weights. And so, this guy he doesn't really care who it is. And so, again, without taking anything away from all the other guys, you got to look at Anthony Pettis and Natan Schulte as the 2 favorite guys to come out on top.
All right, Ray, let's get to the featherweights, another division where you got a guy at the top in Lance Palmer who's won the last 2 seasons. So let's find out who he's fighting and go ahead and go through the rest of the matchups at 145.
Well, that's right. Lance Palmer will be facing Barbara Jenkins. Movalit will be facing Jason Soros. We have a TBD, obviously, because the other 2 contracts hasn't come in. We got Joe Songbing versus Taylor Diamond, and we have Brandon Loughnane versus Sheymon Moraes.
Huh. Okay. Some interesting names there, of course. Brandon Loughnane, Sheymon Moraes. Some good. That's a fun matchup right there, stylistically. But let's start at the top, of course. Lance Palmer taking on Bubba Jenkins. Why was that the matchup that you wanted to make Bubba coming in for his first season in the PFL?
Well, we've been out of the scene for, so to speak, for the last year due to COVID, and so we wanted the first matchups and the first fights to be explosive, and so we wanted to come out with a bang. And all these matchups, it's going to be so exciting. And not only they're all fast, they're all talented, they're all skillful. Bobby Jenkins is someone that Lance Palmer has seen many a times in the wrestling world. He's an NCAA champion. He's had over 20 MMA fights. Talking to Bubba, he's so excited about this matchup because Bubba is one of these guys that he's a little bit, he's not afraid to say things the way he says them. And he's like, no one's walking away with that bout except me. You know what I mean? So it makes it a really good story and a good matchup on that night.
Yeah, I like the fact that you're starting the season with that matchup because regardless of who wins, there's a possibility that those 2 could end up facing each other again in a playoff setting. So you kind of start that story. You kind of start that story early. And what I love about Bubba, and I'm sure that everybody agrees with me on this one, is that Lance, he's a well-rounded guy. He's one of the top 145ers in the world. But if he ever gets in trouble, that he can just out-wrestle the guy. Like, I don't know if he can out-wrestle Bubba Jenkins. That'll be a question that we'll find out. on April 23rd.
Well, that's right, and that's the thing. Again, Lance has been fighting at a high level competition, and it is MMA. It's not wrestling, and it'll be punches thrown, kicks, knees, and whatnot. So it's Bubba's got to understand this is not a pure wrestling match, and again, we've seen this happen many a times where guy could have been one guy at wrestling and then come into an MMA world, or jiu-jitsu and he come into an MMA world. Now, punch, kicks, and knees are part of that mix. And so I think it's a really exciting match.
We appreciate the time, Ray, and we're looking forward to it. Like I said, I mean, I've seen you in shorts and T-shirts holding pads, but I'll look forward to seeing you in the suit again as the president of the PFL. And congratulations on getting back ESPN2, ESPN Plus on April 23rd. And then you guys will have much more matchups to disclose for us, I'm sure, in the coming weeks, because once you get going, then this the regular season schedule is back on track. So thank you for the time, man, again, and we'll talk to you again soon with to reveal those other weight classes.
Great. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.